everybody, Scott Golden here with the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling Review Series. This is for the 20th of November, 1982, and some pretty big things happen on this particular program. Obviously, we've kind of seen some of the run here. These are a couple of the shows I've actually seen prior. We move into a you know Ben Alexander is here, and we kind of see Orton against Ben Alexander. Bob Orton new to the area. I think he might have had one or two matches. Bridging back suplex though by Orton gets him the victory, and Roddy Piper gives Orton a endorsement. Think that they would be so entwined over the next couple of years in the WWF, but entwined here in 1982. So just interesting how friendships develop. Ricky Steamboat out there and continuing to talk about the damage done to Jay Youngblood. Slaughter and Kernoodle had at a house show basically hung him over the top rope with a belt, and they actually censor that. There's a lot of brawling. He's taken out of action for a couple of weeks. And, that's the thing. These big heel-related gimmicks, which you can get 4, 6, 8 weeks out of, now you can't even get virtually anything out of. But there's a match, highlights from a match before that. And it looks as though the challengers, Youngblood and Steamboat, are in control until the hanging by Kernoodle and Slaughter even, tip up after a vertical suplex. Slaughter doing the majority of bumping around a lot for a big man at the time. Remember, big men didn't bump nearly as much now as they do today, which I think was better for the sport overall, but Slaughter and friends do remain in control here. We then move back to the live studio audience portion of the program here, and again managing to get things going back in their general direction. Steamboat obviously not happy about any of what has occurred over the last several little while, and hard shots by on Kernoodle, and some basic match brawling in early stages here. Nelson and Piper eventually go at things here. Piper, of course, a pretty big guy, obviously coming into the things with Flair and Valentine. Piper comes up and has a short match with Jim Nelson, and Piper obviously punch kick, basic stuff, body slams, and Piper uses the sleeper to get the victory. We go to the arena style matches a little bit. And again, Piper in control. Piper getting cut off, and Jones and Briscoe going at it a little bit in a highlight package of an arena-style match. Not so much a fan of the arena-style matches, only because A, they're clipped, and B, they are poorly lit. Briscoe managing, though, to hook on the figure four, and I believe win back the Mid-Atlantic Championship at the time. And again, Briscoe having that championship back does mean a lot. Briscoe has been a major force in the area and continues to be such throughout at least 1983 when he leaves the promotion, and Briscoe talks about wanting to be at his best going forward. Greg Valentine up with a promo, basically saying he endorses Ric Flair, basically saying he endorses anything Flair does. They show highlights of him beating Wahoo McDaniel previously. Also show highlights of him, going at it with Piper a little bit. So basically the idea is Valentine and Flair are top heels in the area. Flair always coming forward as the world champion, of course, so you're going to see him being in deals ahead. But brawls between Wahoo McDaniel and Greg Valentine. Their storyline going back 4 years, guys actually having storylines that go back a while, and again, the highlights from the previous few weeks where Valentine does beat Wahoo in the middle of the ring. Then we see a classic match. I believe they actually moved it up over $100,000. The basic pull of Funk and Briscoe here on television. Um, if you've never seen this, go out of your way to see it. Every move counts, and so many guys and ladies don't know how to make that happen in modern wrestling. Obviously, it's not 10,000 flips, but whether it's the uppercuts by Funk, whether it's the crispness of the lockup, whether it's the idea that things could turn into a pinfall at any given moment. The beautiful nature of the attempted double underhook suplex into a backslide. Just amazing things all the way around. And Dory Funk Jr. does get defeated in that run. And again, Funk Jr. is, or almost gets defeated in that run. Obviously, they go back at it. But Funk had tied himself up in the ropes. But I mean, they go back in and they go right to work on side headlocks and other basic maneuvers, moves that are in every match, but look like $1,000,000. They look like it actually hurts, and they look like it matters. The way that Jack Briscoe steps over into the figure four leg lock is amazingly well done. Both guys standing up with forearms that don't look like they're pulling punches or trying to hit each other light or whatever. You can hit each other really snug, but do so safely. The over the top rope disqualification is eventually the way that Jerry Briscoe or Jack Briscoe wins this. Whether he gets the $100,000 for that or not, we do not actually know. We go back to highlights from an arena match here. And again, the interspersion of arena highlights, including but not limited to a Ric Flair highlight. Again, the champion Flair always bleeding at the time. Amazing to me how unsafe it truly was for various people. And Leroy Brown getting a shot at Ric Flair. And a top cross body. Brown saying he can take out Flair in a post-match promo, and now Humperdinck's people are anti-Ric Flair. Speaking of Humperdinck, the thorn that is Mike Rotundo still there. Rotundo saying he's still going to beat bad Leroy Brown on his own benefit. Leroy Brown getting a ton of different gear. He's got purple gear and green gear and blue gear here, and we then see the backdrop continuing the feud there. If you haven't been following the Mid-Atlantic series, the feud with Leroy Brown and Mike Rotundo does show the proper progression of a babyface who's a little bit bland. Also, Leroy Brown kind of takes in on Rotundo and tries to get things going, tries to bring him back in the hard way after almost throwing him over the top rope, which again would have been a disqualification. I actually like the over the top rope disqualification rule, and I wish that it was better explained and could still be used today in modern wrestling. I think if we weren't so dependent on ... dive junk. Anyway, so I mean they crank up on the arms and it's pretty basic. Throughout it is that Leroy Brown always goes back to the arm and stays on that arm as often as he can. Double leg takedown though at one point by Rotundo. Rotundo never surrendering, never quitting. Comes back with a beautiful comeback at the last possible minute and does not get everything he wants out of the match, but he is toe-to-toe with a guy, I won't say double his size, but Mike Rotundo is certainly not done with Leroy Brown even after this. The tag team champions are out. They still believe that Steamboat and Youngblood are not in their league, and they are continuing to be there and present. Paul Jones is calling himself number one. Joe LaDuce still managing to consider himself a championship caliber athlete, and we'll be back with more right after this.